Fellas. What happens when your favorite fighting game of the year takes one of your favorite legacy IPs and picks the wrong, right, in certain people's eyes, our eyes, spoiler alert, character for their guest character season 1? Talk to me about Tekken 8 and Clive Rossfields.
All right, I'll say this. Right? Imagine this. It's 2022. No, 2021, 2022, borderline. We're at the board meeting. We call Harada. We got this new game coming out, Final Fantasy 16. It's going to be the biggest event in history. Right? Right? We're going to make this story better than Game of Thrones. Guess why? And guess what? No black people. Okay? All right? We're going to make this game, and this game is not only going to be an action game, but we're not going to follow any of the plot points or any of the world structure building in 15 and improve on. Even though we did see The Witcher, we did see not Elden Ring, but we did see a couple of games that came out before that provided dungeons, which everybody's asking for, but we're not going to give them that. We're going to give them a straight line. Hmm? In this medieval world that's fantastical, right? We're going to take inspiration from Naruto. Imagine, right? Naruto in medieval times. Okay? And we want you to feature our main character in your fighting game. What do you think?
We love what you did with Noctis.
I saw a conversation about this. Like, you could tell Tekken is like, especially with this last installment, it's entered more of a fantasy realm versus actual hand-to-hand combat, which is very true because I would say this, like Tekken 7 and even further into Tekken 8, you could tell the way they were experimenting with characters who use weapons is kind of like, so what are you trying to say about the state of Soulcalibur? Because to be honest, bro, like Yoshimitsu Soulcalibur and Yoshimitsu Tekken are two different people, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Two different people. It's like you cannot compare them. You cannot. It's like night and day, water and oil. And I feel like both of those properties, like, you know, your left hand, your right hand, serve a very genuine purpose of like, you know, this game, it's all about weaponized combat and the things you're able to do with those weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is, your general everyday brawler, with Virtual Fighter, inspirations, because, it was the template at the time. But then, it kind of feels like they got away from martial arts to now it's just fantasy. And when I say fantasy, bro, is like, okay, the Devil Gene stuff was cool because you were able to ground it a bit. But, that final anime battle, bro, it's just like, okay, I see a lot of Soulcalibur influences. It's kind of giving me Nightmare versus Siegfried all over again. It's like, so what are we doing here? And it's just like, and I saw this character. It's just like, bro, he's a medieval looking character. Why are you putting him in this game?
Who has the power to summon a gigantic fire lion? But go on.
Bro, he belongs in Soulcalibur. Like, just like how you did Geralt for Soulcalibur 6. He's like, oh yeah, here's a guest character on the main roster. Like, that could have been your selling point right there. Like, this was very foolish. Very foolish for me. Like, I gotta say it out loud, that was Tifa's slot. That was Tifa's slot. Yeah. But then now, this has made me really, like, have, like, kind of lose faith in guest characters moving forward. Like, this and plus Mortal Kombat have really stained that type of legacy. Like, I've said this, like, even in the chat, like, after, City of the Wolves and that last guest character for Guilty Gear, I don't want to see guest characters no more. For a good while. I don't. I want y'all to commit to y'all general roster and whatever new characters you want to add to this universe. Because like how you just said, you putting all this emphasis on Clive, but he's not going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
afterwards.
And he doesn't
And I kind of feel like,
fit.
and I just kind of feel like if that was the last character for this season, this entire season pass was a disappointment.
I'm glad you said that, Tim.
It's
Before we even
disappointment.
get there, before we
I'm
even get there,
glad you said that.
I want to say that to be fair, I don't know if you guys watched any of the Clive reveals and them going over the battle systems of Clive,
I
but
did.
they already had planned this. That's why I did that whole skit. They had planned this before the Tifa demands even came
Oh,
in,
I know why you did
and
that.
yeah.
I'm
So
glad you referenced that, S
and
rank.
you know like they should have asked if you know, is this actually a Final Fantasy game that we're doing here? Because this doesn't Clive doesn't hit any of the Final Fantasy beats, man. And it wasn't the overall arc and success they thought it was gonna be. So they had to follow through with it. So it was man, Final Fantasy's doing what numbers? They're not gonna support the game after a certain. Oh man, this isn't looking good. And that stage, do you know how much that stage costs? What I was seeing in that stage, man, I was heartbroken. You saw my face in the reaction
Yup.
because I knew. I said, "Yo, they got the Titans fighting each other in the background, dog. Like
While you're fighting in real
this
time.
this is where Bruce Irvin and Lei Lung ever coming into the game, and Armored King and Julia or who and they're all dead now. Forget it. They're never coming back. Forget about Tekken 9 anytime soon. Forget about Tekken Tag anytime soon because that's going to be a nightmare. And so, you know,
Uh-huh.
and now I'm more heartbroken because I don't want to fully believe it. I refuse to believe that they're going to give up on Soulcalibur. I refuse to because it just doesn't make any sense to do it. The
Yeah, because
reason
first,
why it didn't
yeah,
do
because
great,
to piggyback off your point, they basically said, all right, for Soul Calibur 6, we wanted to reach a certain point to see if you're still interested, and it did. It
it
did.
did, and it didn't
People
do
followed
bad.
through. It
It
is
did
the
well.
best. It is the best Soul Calibur game since 2.
But you can't have that echoing effect if you don't forget a foundation that we always said matters in a multiplayer versus game. Connection. If the online is bad, we have nothing to discuss.
But not just that. Connection with your audience. Right? And I want to piggyback off something Tim said I think like a podcast ago of like sometimes you just have to stick with what makes sense. So, like you said, they were planning Clive to be in this game before 16 even released. And again, I'm sure that pitch was amazing. Hey, we got the guy who did Devil May Cry doing our combat system. It's Game of Thrones meets Naruto. I know you guys are going for more anime like feel with the story mode. He's going to have the power of all the classic summons from our game. It's going to do great. And Clive in and of himself is not a bad character. He's in a
Yes.
not great game, but he is not a bad character. The issue is, to Tim's point and to Jory's point, is that Clive is not Tifa. And when I say that, I mean you're taking a risk that people are going to be receptive to this brand new character from a game you haven't put out yet versus, and you can't even say, I don't even want to hear well, Harada didn't know that they wanted Tifa in the game. People have wanted Tifa in the game since they put Noctis in Tekken 7. I've been seeing that since Noctis was in Tekken 7. So you can't act like you didn't know.
Guess what? We don't want Tifa's image to be ruined.
How could it possibly be ruined? You can't lose. You know you were working on a remake. Then we know about the Italian embassy incident. Should I should I go any further? People and anytime I type in Tekken Tifa on anything, please put Tifa in the game at Harada across all platforms. So you can't tell me you don't. You're making jokes about Waffle House. I know you see it. I know you see it. Now you could argue, I seen, oh well, maybe it was a lot more expensive to get Tifa in the game versus Clive. Da, da, da.
It takes time. It takes time. But y'all spent more money on Clive. I
Exactly.
know. Clive took out 4
Exactly.
possible characters. That deal took out 4 characters and 3 stages that we could have gotten in Tekken
Because they gave him
alone, man.
everything. I watched that video. They gave him every single
I
power
could
he
not
has in that game.
believe. So what's now? And nobody moves out of the way fast enough to dodge that particle beam cannon.
Right. He has the Bahamut Mega Flare Beam. He has Odin Zanzetsuken. He has the Phoenix Wing. He has Leviathan. And don't forget Ifrit in the Tekken universe. And the dog. He is the most fleshed out guest character probably ever. And it's just like, but you could have just put in Tifa. And it's not a subversion of expectations. It's not like, I remember like Dory was like, oh, they could have gone with Sephiroth, which I think would have been a weirder take, but a safer take in comparison of like, we want to put in this Soulcalibur like feel. Let's go with a proven, entity type thing. You picked an unproven character off the strength of the pitch.
Man.
And like Tim said, after having an underwhelming season, when Eddie Gordo's squad leader won, Lydia is the most forgiving person on the planet. Heihachi's alive. This was not.
Oh my gosh, man.
And then let's go back to the past installment. Okay. Tekken 7 Season Pass 1. Oh, Tekken Bowling. Should have been in the base game.
But okay.
Should have
I'll
been.
forgive you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll forgive you.
Next character, Noctis. I'm like, huh? See his gameplay? And then here comes the coup de grace. You hear that voice, you see that stage. Geese Howard in Tekken.
Geese Howard and Akuma are in the same game that they are not contributing to. But this one, butter on bread,
Yep.
It's like
butter on bread.
how do you go from that to this? And like I said, bro, like Clive, like he's not a bad character, but it's just he's in the wrong place because
He's in the wrong game.
We've said that with NetherRealm. Like sometimes, bro, y'all decision making is just very off, just very off.
You don't want to subvert expectations with an invested, paying fan base.
And you know what else I'm gonna say? It also infuriates the fans who want to see a Soulcalibur because now you're telling them without telling them that, hey guys, this will never happen. Because I didn't come to Tekken for weapon based combat. Yoshimitsu's the only person I'm gonna allow. Yoshimitsu, okay, I'll allow Vincent. He's an anomaly. I know because we can't put Noxus in the game. Here's something else you guys could get. That's fine. I'll take Vincent. He's the Raven leader. Okay, I'm not as mad. Master Raven had a sword. That's fine. I'm okay with.
Even how they did John Wick Nina sometimes. It's in her combos, not she just.
It's in the combos. It's not her just going off and shooting. You know what I'm saying?
She's not Trinity.
And it makes sense. She's an assassin, right?
Yeah.
She has to deal with the guy with a devil gene. You know what I'm saying?
She needs every advantage she can get.
She needs every advantage she can get.
Yeah.
And if you got Claudio, who's a
Quincy.
give me the
a Quincy. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He was a Quincy shooting an arrow that can subdue a demon because he's an exorcist. That man prays in the spirit. You know what I'm saying? He going to church, taking communion with pride. You know what I'm saying? And now for you to tell me or for you to put this character who would fit perfectly in Soulcalibur, like I think you guys, Namco Bandai needs to say, like, there's something here. You guys didn't give Soulcalibur a budget it needs to make an impression on people.
Mm-hmm.
You remove some of the greatest things about Soulcalibur and you didn't put it into this game. Soulcalibur having that turn-based strategy gameplay, why not? Evolve on that. That's something to work with. That's unique to this game. right? You can do stuff like that. It's okay because now these games, these versus games, period, they need more offline play. They need things that are offline. We talk about Mortal Kombat not having offline value, single player value, right? They
Hmm.
don't. They don't have single player value. And I think with Weapon Master and Soul Calibur 2, you got that. You got ascensions of the Tower of Ascensions going through each floor, it being different. That's something to have. That's interesting. That's fun to play. If I don't feel like playing, this provides me a different challenge. Weapon Master, I was on that thing until I beat it. That thing was Soul Calibur 2 is you pick whatever weapon you have, and it's like a little RPG. So Calibur 3 had the turn-based strategy game. It wasn't the best, but you guys have something to work with to make it count now, right? Why isn't
But I think because
that?
we want to avoid like a whole recap of Soul Calibur, I do think that the decisions with Soul Calibur shows where things are going left a little bit with Tekken. Of like
Yeah,
these same decisions that are not allowing you to fill this obvious gap in a weapons based fighting game genre, right? Because we don't have anything else to play that doesn't involve fists right now.
and so that's where the Tekken Force money went to.
That's where anything else went to. Of like I said, it's like I think it's one of those things where it's like you kind of got to go with what works. And this first season, to me, right? Because again, we heard the reactions to Heihachi trailer initially, but the execution was, let's just call it what it is, horrible. So I'm like, you have consistently throughout this season taken these characters and made the wrong decision again and again and again and again. And I don't. I mean, Tekken 8 is such a solid game that I think they have a chance to turn things around. But to Tim's
It's
point,
not dead.
it's not dead. But I think to Tim's point, like now, a guest character doesn't get it done because even if we get
Yeah,
Tifa in season 3, it no longer matters.
too late.
You've
Too
already
late.
you've already fumbled all of that goodwill unnecessarily for no
Unnecessarily.
reason.
And now we want to see what we're getting in this pack. I don't want a mystery guest season anymore. I'm not buying it.
Exactly,
I'm not buying it.
exactly,
If I don't know who's in this season,
exactly.
I don't want
Now
it.
you're no
Because
longer
now,
loyally buying season 2 because you're like, nope, can't risk it this time.
and then you're gonna blame the players inadvertently. Well, nobody bought season 3, guys. So this is right. This is a wrap up. It wraps it up from here. I'm like, well, guys, you guys need to. We want to know what we're getting. Can we mix and match certain pack? Can we select what fighters we want? And so this is my sandwich. I don't want a mystery sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what toppings are in my sandwich now. I can't leave it up to you anymore.
Right. I
You don't change the flavor. You know what I'm saying? You're charging me this much money. You don't change the flavor on the meats. Y'all don't want to give me turkey anymore. Y'all want to give me your soy patties. I'm angry. I'm angry.
But it has the same texture as Rank.
No, no, no,
No, no,
no,
no,
no,
no. Yeah.
no, no,
No, no, no, no, no,
no,
no, no. No, it doesn't.
no.
I think in
No, it
closing,
does.
to move on from this topic, I think it's just one of those things where it's just unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate to see Tekken tripping over their own shoelaces again and again and again. Where to me, I'm like, you should be clearly lapping the competition, and you just will not get out of your own way. And again, I don't think any of us are throwing any shade on Clive. I just think when Clive's only claim to fame is a divisive game at best, you don't do yourself any favors putting him into this game.
Yeah, like I refuse to play. It's hard for me to play 16 because it's like I know I'm not gonna. There's no point for anything. Like I'm doing the same redundant combos. You give me a lesser version of the game you flourish in.
Yeah, because then you look at Rebirth and you're like, but what?
Right? You look
I
at
just did a
15.
13
15
hit
had an
combo
open
with
world.
Cloud, who then put Tifa on his sword, threw her into the air. She's doing a drop kick. Like,
It's just me. There's no other characters I can play as.
no
It's just
elemental
me.
damage.
No
No, I
elemental
can't turn
damage.
into any other summons. I can just use their powers.
Just use their
It's
powers. I can explore the world that you're telling me is so amazing, right? But when I play when I see one of your games called Forspoken, I see how interesting their world is, and I'm like, man, this would have been nice if they applied some of this world into this world. You had Final Fantasy 15, which wasn't a perfect game, but the Royal Edition makes it a perfect game.
Mm-hmm.
Close enough to. The Royal Edition is a significant jump
Mm-hmm.
and improvement. I'm gonna say that, and I'll say that until
And fight off the comments.
yeah. I mean, you say what you want. We just had such a bad taste with 15 that we couldn't. We couldn't like, yo, I'm done. We can't support it at this point. It didn't. But at the same time, it sold more. So since it sold the most, we take this formula, we apply it to 16, and we expand on it. Now you're gonna get this Crimson Desert game,
Who's gonna
which
take your lunch and feast? Soon they down on
which
those particle effects.
which you could have been
Yeah.
with the budget, and you guys would have made your money back more so. And then you
Yeah.
guys abandoned the game versus try to correct the wrongs that you did with 15. I'm like,
No,
well, they
they tried.
corrected
No,
their
they
wrongs.
tried to correct it. It wasn't received well. They put out a PC port, wasn't received well. Dropped DLC, in which you get the powers of Leviathan and the God of the world, and it didn't do well. They tried.
No, I think the problem is the world. The world.
Of
The world
course,
they made.
yeah,
They couldn't add us new combos. Like, oh, new combos, that would have worked. Versus the
right,
same stale, like one button like an Atari.
yeah. Switching these modes is not what's going to get it done. It's not enough. I've seen
not
the Odin
enough, man.
Slash 14 times now. It's not cool anymore.
It's not cool anymore, man. And I don't have any control over what takes precedence. And I could do this in a Bayonetta game.
I
I
think I'll
can
play
control
that.
what I mix and matching with in a Bayonetta game. I didn't
Yeah,
think of that.
yeah,
I can mix and match my combos from every other Devil May Cry game, and I don't see any of that in this.
yeah. Well,
No new weapons, and it's just me.